everybody, and welcome to the Environmental Learning Center at Clackamas Community College. I'm Maggie, an educator here at the ELC, and this is week 7 of our Wetland Wildlife Livestream series, where each week we learn about a different animal that calls the wetland their home. We've already learned about tons of cool animals, including beavers and coyotes and many more, and this week we are learning about our feathered friends, the owl. There are so many cool owl species that find shelter and food at wetlands like here at the ELC. I'm very excited to be learning about them with you all today. So, like I said, the ELC is a wetland, which is an area of land that is covered in water. So you can see there's plenty of water behind me. And one of the coolest things about wetlands is the fact that they slow down, cool off, and filter the water. It allows for all types of things to settle before going downstream into creeks. And because of that, there's plenty of clean water and plants and animals that find their home or habitat here at the wetland. So very exciting. Before we get into today's live stream, I actually have a really exciting wildlife spotting that happened just this last week. So there's an animal that showed up that has never been seen here before, and an animal that I actually have never seen before outside of the Oregon Zoo. So there's an exhibit of this animal at the Oregon Zoo, and I always love looking at them there, and I never really thought I would see one right here at the ELC. So before we get into owls, I want to really show you just a couple quick photos of that. So let's look at it. So just a few days ago, we saw something with brown fur swimming around in the ponds here at the ELC, and we couldn't quite figure out what it was. We saw it swimming and diving under the water, and we thought, is that a beaver? Is that a nutria, which is a very similar animal to a beaver? But as we looked at it, it looked a little too long, and once it poked up out of the water a little bit more, we were able to see exactly what animal it was. Do you know what animal this is? It's a river otter. Oh my gosh, I love river otters. I see them at the Oregon Zoo all the time, and it's so exciting that he's here. This river otter probably made its way up from lower down in the creeks, making its way up here to the wetland, looking for fish, because that's the main thing that they eat. They also eat crawdads, frogs, salamanders, all types of other things that they can find around here. And throughout the last couple days, this guy has been spotted multiple times, which makes me believe that he has found his habitat here and is sticking around, which is so incredibly exciting. So maybe during today's live stream, we might see him in the background. But river otters are very good at hiding from people, which is why I had never seen one before. They tend to be active at night, and when they're active during the day, they're able to hide pretty well from us. But yeah, I just really was super excited to share that all with you guys today, because river otters are such a rare sighting, and it really shows that you never know what you're going to find when you go out in nature. You might think like, oh yeah, I'll go to the ELC to see some ducks, that would be nice, but you'll never know what you'll spot. So super exciting already. Before we get into today's live stream about owls, I would like to introduce Michelle, who is our camera person and also the person monitoring the Zoom chat. So if you have any questions throughout today's live stream about owls or even river otters, go ahead and put them in the Zoom chat and I'll make time at the end to answer them all. You also should hopefully have an activity sheet in front of you titled Give a Hoot for Owls. And the top section of this activity sheet is titled Owl Memory Game. So I'm going to be in a second showing you a bunch of objects underneath this cloth, and you're only going to have 10 seconds to write or draw them all down. And that blank section on the top of the sheet is where you'll be writing or drawing all the objects. The bottom half of this activity sheet is titled Owl Bingo. And it is so that as you're hearing things about owls today, you'll be able to check off the various things that I mentioned. All righty, very exciting. Okay, let's take a closer look at our friends, the owls here. I've got a couple different owl mounts. This one that's very clear here is a barn owl, which is an owl that's common around here. And as you can see, owls are a type of bird, and we know that because they have a beak and they have wings and they have feathers, but they're actually a predatory type of bird. So as you can tell by the eyes being at the front of their head rather than the sides of their head, that they actually eat other animals. So if the eyes were on the side of the head, that would mean that the animal is keeping an eye out all the time for potential predators that could attack it, while this guy is the predator looking to attack things. So owls are carnivores, meaning they only eat other animals. Most of the time, they're eating mice or chipmunks or other small furry mammals. But another owl that we have here, right in this little tree trunk hole, is a saw-whet owl, which is a significantly smaller owl. I can also remove the piece of wood in a second, but these guys and all owls tend to find habitat in holes in trees. And so this is just a cute little way to show you where an owl is at during the daytime. But if we go ahead and remove this wood, you can get a better look at this cute little guy. So yeah, owls come in all types of shapes and sizes, but most of them, have those talons, or all of them have those talons, sharp beaks and all that in order to be great predators. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with the owl memory game. So underneath this cloth right here, I have, I believe, 8 items for that are all related to owls. Okay, and so in a second, I'm going to, after I count to 3, I'm going to remove the cloth, and you're only going to have 10 seconds in order to memorize everything that you see. So this is really important for your observation skills when you're out observing wildlife. How closely can you notice things and how quickly can you notice things are super important skills to have. So when I count to 3, I'm going to remove this cloth and write down as many things as you see, okay? 1, 2, 3, go. Alrighty, so how many objects were you able to find? Or write down as well? Okay. So what we've got here, this is the smallest object on the table. It's a little tiny bug, to show the fact that some smaller owls, like the saw-whet that we were just looking at, will eat bugs. They'll also eat earthworms and all types of tiny little animals. This right here is a chipmunk, which represents the fact that larger owls will eat small mammals like chipmunks and squirrels and mice and moles and all types of stuff. This right here is a little feather, and it is because owls have feathers, and their feathers are actually super, super cool and interesting. I can show you it on the wing as well, but basically, their feathers not only help keep them warm and allow them to fly, but allows them to fly silently. So if you can see like up close on these feathers, they have lots of different, it's a very fine, kind of jagged feather that allows, when they're flapping their wings, it doesn't make that big whoosh noise that a lot of wings make. And so because of that, and the fact that they're able to fly pretty slowly as well, they're able to fly silently. So why would an owl want to fly silently? Well, when they're going after their prey, they don't want to scare the prey away, so they're able to be completely quiet, and the prey won't even know that they're there. But also, an owl's sense of hearing is super important for their ability to hunt. So although they have really good eyesight, their ability to hear their prey is super important for them. And so if their wings are making all types of noise, they wouldn't be able to hear the prey that they're trying to find. Cool. Another object related to an owl's hearing is this bowl. So just like how a bowl contains things, the owl's face shape actually helps collect and contain sound, which is super, super cool. So Michelle, if you'd like to change to the PowerPoint slide, I have a quick little image about an owl's sense of hearing. So owls have something really cool that's called a facial disc. So on the right here, on this slide, you can see we have a barn owl, and because of the shape of their face, they're actually able to collect sound into their ears. So just like how if you cup your hands around your ears, you're able to hear better, an owl's face is kind of in this disc shape, where the sound will go straight to their ears and they're able to hear way better. Their ears are also uneven. So if you look at the skull on the left of this slide, their ears aren't exactly level with each other like ours are. One of them is a little bit lower than the other. And the reason why that is in order to help them figure out where sound is coming from better. So if you've ever seen a dog or any other animal tilt its head when it hears an interesting sound, it's theorized that those animals are doing the same thing, because having slightly uneven ears causes the sound to hit one ear sooner than the other, which is super, super cool. So I would definitely say an owl's superpower is their sense of hearing and their silent flight. It makes them amazing predators, and they're able to catch all types of great stuff. This object right here is a hollow tube to represent the fact that owls have hollow bones. Birds have hollow bones in order to be super light and to help them fly. The biggest owl in North America is the great horned owl, and they have a wingspan of 4.5 feet, and they are like 3 feet tall. So they're these ginormous animals, but they're only roughly 2 pounds in weight because their feathers are super light and their bones are hollow. These right here are some softballs, and this is because owls have super big eyes. So like I mentioned with the great horned owl being the largest owl around here, their eyes are roughly the same size as ours. However, their skull is way smaller. So if we had comparable eye sizes to our skull, our eyes would actually be as big as softballs. Isn't that wild? Oh my gosh. That is so cool. And then these are a pair of binoculars, which also show that owls have really great eyesight, but they also have binocular vision, meaning their eyes are at the front of their head, which lets us know that they're a predator. And also, one of my favorite facts about owls is the fact that their eyes are fixed in their head. So they can't move their eyes left or right. So if you want to do this with me, keep your shoulders straight, keep your neck straight, keep your head exactly where it is, but look to the right. And then look to the left. Owls can't do that. In order to look to the right or look to the left, they have to turn their entire head because their eyes don't move. But because of that, owls are able, or in order to counteract that problem, owls can turn their head super far. So they can turn their head all the way around to the back of them and see behind them without moving their body, which is super, super cool. But alrighty, I just wanted to show you guys a couple quick photos of some owls that live around here so that if you ever spot one, you know that you're looking at an owl. So we've got a barred owl, which is the one owl that I've actually seen here at the ELC. They have been quite common ever since the last few decades. And here's the photo of it that I took at the ELC in a tree very close to right where I'm standing right now. So super fun. You can see owls in the middle of the day, even though they tend to be more nocturnal. The great horned owl is the one that I've been talking about a lot, is the largest owl. And so this is also kind of the iconic owl you think of. It makes that, you know, iconic hooting noise. And these are the most commonly spotted in Oregon. So if you've seen an owl before, you might have seen this guy. Then I showed you the little saw-whet owl hiding in the log, which is, you know, a significantly smaller owl, but still very common. And then we have a western screech owl, which is also a very teeny tiny owl. And this owl is fantastic because they're able to blend in with the bark so well. All owls have a little bit of camouflage, or most owls do, but I feel like this guy really does blend into that tree that he's in, which is fantastic. Okay. Ready, I want to make sure that we have time to answer all of your owl questions. But right before I answer that, I just realized I forgot to mention the owl pellet, which was one of the objects that you might have noticed. So owls swallow their prey whole. So they will completely swallow a mouse without, ripping it apart. And because of that, they swallow bones and fur and all types of stuff that they actually can't digest. And so it will form into a pellet inside them, and then they will throw it back up. And by looking at those pellets, we can see what an owl has been eating. So there's the object. I'm excited to hear how many that you were able to get. But all right, let's get to the questions.
They get wet in the wood.
Good question. Someone asked, what happens if an owl gets wet or falls in the water? So one thing I forgot to mention about barred owls is the fact that they actually prefer to live near water because they're able to find amphibians and other things that they will eat besides, those small rodents. And I've never actually seen an owl fall in the water, but I think that they would be okay. They'd be able to ruffle their feathers a little bit and dry off. But yeah, they definitely would not enjoy being in the water. Good question. Someone asked how long do they live? So each owl species lives a little bit different amount of time, but I would say the average of the 4 owls that we talked about today, or the 5 owls we talked about today, would be roughly 10 years, with some of them living over 25.
How old do they be?
That's a good question. Someone asked, how old do they have to be to fly? I'm actually not sure about that one, so I'd recommend that you look up yourself or go to your local library and learn more about how long it takes for owls to fly.
What is the most common owl in this area?
Good question. Someone asked, what is the most common owl in this area? So I would say great horned owls are the most common across the entire United States. And then all the rest of the owls really depend on exactly what elevation you're living at. So if you're living close to the ocean, if you're living on a mountain, it all really depends. And the fact that we're a wetland here, I think barred owls do enjoy our wetland a little bit more than the others. But yeah, great question.
Do any owls eat other birds?
It's a great question. Do any owls eat other birds? And yes, the great horned owl, which is the biggest owl here, does actually eat not only other birds, but other predatory birds. So they'll eat falcons and osprey and things. Birds that you would think don't have to worry about predators actually do have to worry about the great horned owl. So super cool.
Last question, why do they not eat their eyes?
Yeah, good question. Someone asked, why do they not move their eyes? I'm actually not sure about that one. I'm curious if there's some reason why their eyesight is so good. I don't know. So that's another one that you could look into. But I just know that their neck allows them to look everywhere they need to look anyway. Alrighty, thank you so much for all of your amazing questions. I'm so happy that you are so excited about owls, and I hope that you will join us next week to learn about frogs. But until then, take care, get outside, and respect all those who live there. All right, bye.